Hello, my friends, and welcome back to PlayStation Live from E3. That was a good way to open up that segment. What better transition from dancing into hardcore horror simulation is there? Meredith, professional horror fan, you're joining me. And we are very happy to have Stu from Firesprite. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's great.
It's a long journey, but you made it. We're here in LA, and we're talking about the Persistence on PlayStation VR.
That's right.
In a nutshell, tell me what the Persistence is.
Okay, so the Persistence is a first-person sci-fi horror game for PSVR.
Okay, easy so far.
Yeah, so you can see the game's running there. And so the setup is this. The Persistence is the name of the ship, and it's the first human ship that could ever travel faster than light. So they travel 17,000 light years to do experiments at a black hole, knowing that if anything goes wrong, no help's coming. There's no ship capable of coming to save them. And they do an experiment, as you can imagine, which goes really badly wrong. And a lot of the crew that were involved in that get mutated terribly. And they run through the ship and kill all the remaining crew. So suddenly the ship's drifting, and it's getting towards the event horizon of the black hole. The crew are dead, mutants everywhere. But there's a few people left in cryosleep, maybe just a couple of hundred. And the ship's computer decides to wake them up one at a time to see whether they can sneak past the mutated crew to fix the ship and get back to Earth. And that's what we do. That's us.
Here, I'm going to say something. When you go faster than light, nothing good ever happens.
I know.
There's a reason light is the fastest thing.
I just love that as he's explaining it, I'm smiling bigger and bigger, and Ryan is looking more and more concerned.
I was just like, this doesn't sound like a good time. I'm going to freak out. Yeah, that is, so first of all, I love science fiction horror. I think if I had to choose like a subgenre, I mean, I'm kind of like more into science fiction, but Meredith, you're like all over this genre,
I am.
right?
Well, I think, you know, so many of us that love horror games, it's like, okay, you love horror, do you want to be in a horror game? It's like, maybe not, but when you put that in your first-person perspective, you're there, you're in it, everything around you, it's very visceral. What I love is the really inky blacks, all the shadows, because there is a lot of stealth involved in this, right? You have to hide.
That's right, yeah. So the game is very much a case of you stealth a lot, because these guys are way, way, way stronger than you. The character you play, because every time you die, you wake a new character. And they're not soldiers, right? They're just people on the ship. So you might be a chef, or you might be a scientist, and every life's different. So you're not necessarily capable of dealing with the mutants. So a lot of the time, you're hiding. And that's great in VR, because you can just peek over the top of cover and see it, and get back down.
Oh God, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to play this game.
I'm totally going to play it in the dark with the sound app.
What is it like for you guys to develop in VR? Because first of all, I mean, as you know, this is like a breaking edge space. It's like a really incredible place to develop in. But it's also tons of unique challenges that you guys are facing.
Yeah, so there's two things really. It's there's a whole new language of design, development. You know, we're making a first-person game, as you can see. But like the way that you move has to be different. And we've worked really hard to try and get to a point where you can play it with 2 sticks. We offer various different ways, but there's a really good solution that works in VR to do with movement speed, acceleration, camera shake, depth of field. There's so many new ways you need to work in order to make it work really well in VR.
Yeah, and to make it comfortable for the player as well, because you're experiencing it in a whole new way.
Yeah, and it's pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
When you play it, there'll be like 2 or 3 of these guys, and they're bigger than you, and they're right in your face, and there's a lot of action going on. So we need to make sure the player's feeling okay.
To go back to your point about it being procedurally generated, and then you wake up every time as a different character. So if you replay the game, does it change every time you wake up?
Yeah, so there's these kind of dark matter bursts coming out of the black hole, which is changing everyone's perceptions. So everyone who wakes faces a different ship. It's the same.
This sounds nightmarish.
When you come out of the medibay, the first time you play, there might be a corridor where you go left. And this time, it goes straight on. And you're like, but I went left and I got some really good power-ups. I did some great looting of the ship. There's nothing there. It's the same with the enemy placements, the power-ups you may get, and the hazards on the ship.
What type of weapons are you able to find and like collect in the game?
Cool. So this is where you turn the tables. You know, we're saying like you're really weak and the enemies are strong. So that happens all the time. And then suddenly you go, oh, I've got a weapon. So it's like really powerful for a short period of time.
Just a burst of confidence, and then it just fades away.
Yeah. So like the Storm Fury 50 cal pistol, it's a beautiful ornate thing in VR, and it decides randomly how many bullets you get. It's 1, 2, or 3, basically.
Oh, gosh.
But then one shot, any of the enemies, and they go sprawling across the map. So you feel really empowered for a short period of time, and then you're like, click, click, click. Oh my God, hide again.
And then immediate fear floods your veins. One thing that I always like to ask developers is how they tackle the problem of, and the challenge of designing a procedurally generated environment, but also keeping control of things, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys manage that in the persistence?
It's really hard.
It is.
Imagine that.
That's why I asked the question.
So it's based on rules. And so we know, for example, that, say, between 4 and 8 meters is good for gaps between cover.
Okay. Okay.
So as the system's pulling together the floors and the ceilings and the little annexes and the hazards, it's based on a bunch of different rules that we think work for gameplay. So that would be just how much loot it generates, so that you're not going to get too many weapons, how many hazards in a room. But then also, we try and pace it a little bit, so rather than like every room full of horror and death and badness, we take a time to create rooms that are just quiet. There's no hazards in there. There's just stuff to collect.
Sure, so you can feel really good about yourself, and then you get your confidence back. Does it also deal with how many stem cells you can find to harvest to make other weapons, or is that a set number?
No, the stem cells, there's 2 big currencies in the game. So the stem cells that you collect, like by killing the bad guys mostly, you can use then, when you wake up in medbay, to either use that to wake up a more advanced member of the crew, member of the command crew, or it's a really cool big machine, which we'll show soon, where it injects you, basically, and then powers up your abilities forever.
Oh, nice.
So rather than the weapons you get per life, this would be a case of stem cells would actually make you better and stronger consistently. So maybe 8 or 10 hours into your play, you maybe have 3 times as much health and you can move faster. And yeah.
That sounds like that's my jam. I was going to ask you, though, you know how you said you like to break up the pacing with the rules that you guys have? At any point, is there just a small spa on the ship that I can just like go into?
We just, in the demo, if you come play it, there's a gym there.
Yes.
So there's a nice rowing machine.
Okay.
You can take it easy there.
Good. Perfect.
Before the baddies come out and kill you.
Yeah, I just want a place that I can feel safe, even if it's for like 30 seconds. That's
like a horror jacuzzi.
Stu, what's the most important thing about the persistence that you want to communicate to our audience before we wrap?
Well, obviously, hopefully you can see, the persistence is it's a fully fledged, designed for VR game experience. But one thing's worth saying when we're here, the game also will ship with a companion app. So as the game procedurally generates the level, it sends it to the app, which people can have on their phone. And on that, you can see the layout of the ship, but then you get to interact with the world as well. So you can open doors, you can place distractors to move enemies around the level. You could freeze enemies that are attacking your friend. Or if you want to play the other way, you could just drag loads of enemies and just to kill your scaredy cat friends who are playing.
So,
I'm totally going to send all the bad guys your way,
What we've learned on this great episode is I'll never play with Meredith, like ever. Stu, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about the persistence. Meredith, thank you for joining me. Sounds like you're excited about this.
I am very excited about this. And what I also love, too, is the party game aspect. I mean, so many friends have game nights.
Yeah.
You know, and you book out a board game or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, this is a really fun way to break up game night.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
PlayStation